Even my critics agree. What we're about to see is the crew of Apollo 11 faking being halfway to the moon. And what a surprise, 55 years later, they still can't leave Earth orbit.
What is the number one best, most solid, grounded piece of evidence?
Let's start with that, Steve. It is clip number 1. Play it in its entirety. It's me narrating a very brief explanation about this classified footage that I found. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. My film cost nearly $1 million. It was financed by someone who builds rockets for NASA, who knows it's fake, who gave it to me as his patriotic duty to expose it. I gave him the benefit of the doubt for as long as possible until I found this footage. This footage, which we're about to see, 2 NBC news directors agreed it proves with 100% certainty that they never left Earth orbit and therefore never went to the moon. They were going to broadcast it nationwide. They flew me to New York, put me up in the Waldorf Astoria, paid me thousands of dollars for the exclusive license. They got a threatening phone call from the federal government saying, don't broadcast it or we'll pull your plug on NBC. That's what we're about to see. There's a third track of audio of the CIA prompting the astronauts not to speak until 4 seconds go by to fake a radio delay. You'll see they're using a 1-foot model of the Earth to pretend to be halfway to the moon. It's dated 2 days into the flight. And just go ahead and hit play for 8 minutes, and my narration on the tape will prove it beyond any doubt. This is what convinced me.
The most.
I remember when I found this tape. It was June 30th, 1999, a Wednesday, I believe. And I just quietly wept. I'm like, oh my gosh, they really did fake the moon landing. How sad is that? And if the person who was the biggest fan can change their mind and reluctantly admit, yes, sadly, they did fake it, then I'm sorry. This is the proof that would prove it in a court of law. 2 NBC news directors agreed. It proves they didn't go to the moon. That's why there's mannequins orbiting the moon. Go ahead and hit play.
Go for it.
So my critics say, hey, this film that I'm about to show you is widely available. It's not. It never appeared anywhere until my film came out. And what you'll hear is a third track of audio of the CIA prompting the astronauts not to speak until 4 seconds have gone by. Now, what this footage is, and I have an unedited reel of like an hour to an hour and a half of virtually the same shot over and over again. They're claiming that this is a little blue Earth, halfway to the moon looking back, when in fact, this is a circular window of the spacecraft outside of which is the Earth and low Earth orbit. Now, originally I said it's kind of part of the Earth out the window, which it does look like, but another cinematographer pointed out is what they did is they took a transparent photograph, like a slide or an X-ray that was color. They put it over the circular window. So it's a circular window and, of course, the circular Earth. And they've backlit it with Earthshine. Now, this is still the window. You can see the little, 2 to 3 inch indentation here, like on a ship, because it's a pressurized bulletproof window, I presume. And first of all, if they're halfway to the moon, there would be a radio delay. So it would take 2 seconds for the radio signal to go out, 2 seconds for them to come back. They're actually in Earth orbit. This is, you'll see clear proof in a second here why they're still in Earth orbit, or proof that they are. They can't leave Earth orbit for a number of reasons. They don't have enough fuel, they don't have radiation protection, and so forth. And by them faking being halfway to the moon proves they didn't go to the moon. Otherwise, they wouldn't be faking it, right? And it also proves that the limit is Earth orbit, because they can't even leave Earth orbit. And what a surprise. 50 years later, they still cannot leave Earth orbit. Isn't that interesting? So what we have here, I'm about to play, NASA's going to talk, and then there's going to be exactly a 4-second delay. Remember, a pretend 2 seconds out, halfway to the moon, a pretend 2 seconds back. Then you're going to hear the CIA whisper in Neil Armstrong's private channel earpiece, which on this unedited version we hear. Then you're going to hear crystal clear, no radio EQ like, the astronauts in orbit or NASA. with a little muffled walkie-talkie type sound. No, this person is where the tape's being recorded. It's crystal clear. He's prompting them to say talk.
Oh, Apollo 11, Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great. Over. Okay, Roger.
You see that? They were waiting 4 seconds, then said talk. See, if he answered right away, it would give away the fact that he's really close to the Earth, because there's supposed to be a 2-second radio delay going out, a 2-second delay coming back. So the CIA told them, do not answer until you hear us say talk. That's on the tape.
Oh, Apollo 11, Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great. Over. Okay, Roger.
You see that? They were waiting 4 seconds, then said talk. See, if he answered right away, it would give away the fact that he's really close to the Earth, because there's supposed to be a 2-second radio delay going out, a 2-second delay coming back. So the CIA told them, do not answer until you hear us say talk. That's on the tape.
Oh, Apollo 11, Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great. Over. Okay, Roger. Roger, Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out.
Okay, so that's supposed to be the Earth floating in space. Now let's take a look at it over here, right? And let's take a look at it. Okay, so to the right is 130,000 miles out, according to NASA and Neil Armstrong, right? That's the Earth over there on the right. But wait a minute, it's not. It's the window. They're using a 1-foot diameter circular photograph of the Earth, putting it on top of the circular window. And now here they are breaking down the shot, the photograph, in order to get ready for an interior showing the astronauts. You know what I mean? So there they are. There's proof right there that it's a fake shot. Here's even an outtake here when an astronaut's arm gets in front of the window. Look at this. Oh my goodness. So if that's really the Earth floating in space, that must be the arm of God going right in front of it. Oh my goodness. So this is the smoking gun. This is them faking being halfway to the moon. Okay? There they are getting ready, and there they open the iris, and there's Michael Collins, and there's the very bright Earth out the window. Want to look at that one more time? In fact, let's just make that big screen. Oh, it's really not the Earth floating in space. It's really a special effect with the circular window. Now, when I saw this, I said to myself, oh my gosh, they really didn't go to the moon, just like Bill Casing said. I called him up. I'm like, oh my gosh, they really didn't go to the moon. They really didn't go to the moon. I have them faking being halfway to the moon, right? They're only faking being halfway because they couldn't go halfway. Do you understand that? Which proves they didn't go to the moon. If they're faking being halfway to the moon, it's because they can't go halfway to the moon, which means they didn't go to the moon. And what a surprise. 50 years later, the same thing. They cannot leave Earth orbit 50 years later. And Bill's like, well, I told you so, but I still wanted to believe that they went. Now, it's not because I love science or because I, wanted America to be great, although I do want America to be great. It's that I didn't want humanity to be so deplorable, despicable, that we would stoop so low to such a thing. Now, even my critics of this film admit that this is fake footage of Apollo 11 pretending to be halfway to the moon. They admit it. So the critics say, well, they were just rehearsing for an upcoming telecast. Really? Then if the mission cost about $1 million a minute, right? And every ounce, is precious because of all the fuel necessary to lift them off the ground, why would they bring an elaborate model of the Earth when the real one was right outside the window? So if they were really halfway to the moon and they were really rehearsing, they would just rehearse with the real Earth out the window rather than creating a fake model of it. I mean, it's unbelievable. They make an excuse for them faking being halfway to the moon right in front of your eyes. They still make an excuse for it. You know, it just amazes me how they keep making excuses no matter what evidence there is. I even talked with a college professor of an aerospace department, and he said, I asked him, what if one of the Apollo astronauts confessed on national TV that we didn't go to the moon? You know what he said? He said, I'd still believe anyway.
Okay. So the idea is they pulled the camera all the way back into the back of the space capsule they were in, and there was a little round window at the far end, and it was supposed to they turned all the lights off inside, and they opened up the aperture so that it would look like the blackness inside of the cabin they were in was outer space.
Well, actually, they closed the aperture, but
Closed the aperture, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. Right. They didn't want it to be exposed for the inside of the spaceship, so they only
Correct.
wanted to be exposed for the outside. Because like right now, if we shine a camera out the window, exposed for the inside, the outside would be blown out and completely
right. So they
white.
closed the aperture to darken the walls of the spacecraft. They talked about turning out all the lights, blocking the windows, all of which they talk about because they thought these conversations would be edited out. For the part that they broadcast, again, this is on the homepage of Sibrel.com, they said there's only one window that faces the Earth, and it's filled up with the TV camera. Because if that were really the Earth floating in space, the lens would have to be right against that circular window. But in fact, it's at the back of the spacecraft with the lights off, and you can see they're using a very clever special effect. Had I only saw the first few seconds that they broadcast to the public, I doubt if I would have figured it out. That's why it says do not show to the public at the beginning of the reel.
Where did you get that reel?
Well, someone at NASA gave it to us. According to Bill Casing, a whistleblower at NASA gave it to us. And that's what convinced me. That's what convinced two NBC News directors.
So a whistleblower at NASA gave it to Bill Casing?
Well, they sent it to me. And what was on the label and on the tape were completely different things. When you pop it in, it says do not show to the public. All the footage from NASA was pre-edited. In fact, there's only like maybe 15 pictures of an astronaut on the surface of the alleged moon in the first mission.
Sorry, go ahead.
And there's 0 pictures of Neil Armstrong,
Right.
first man to walk on the moon. He didn't want his picture taken, right? And there's no unedited footage. Everything was pre-edited except this. This is up to an hour of them doing that special effects shot over and over again. The lights come up, and they're using, as you just saw, a 1-foot model of the Earth to pretend that the Earth is floating in space, to pretend that they're halfway to the moon.
So you're saying they used a transparency that they taped to the window or something?
Yeah, they also insert a little crescent piece of black material into the window to make it look like the Terminator line between night and day.
Is there any evidence of that transparency thing, though?
Well, you just saw them fiddling around with the window. On the right-hand side, if you want to cue it back up again, Steve, he says for the part that was broadcast, this is Neil Armstrong calling in from 130,000 miles out, meaning that little Earth with the black around it is supposed to be the Earth floating in space. He just said it was. He lied. We put them side by side. The lights come up, and it's a 1-foot model of the Earth. They just got caught faking being halfway to the moon from Earth orbit. It's dated 2 days into the flight. They can't walk on the moon the next day when they're still in Earth orbit 2 days into the flight, you see? And what a surprise. 50 years later, they still cannot leave Earth orbit. That's why there's mannequins orbiting the moon, because of the radiation. That's another clip we'll show of a NASA engineer saying the technology necessary to go to the moon has not been invented yet.